This program is sponsored by Medical Arts Hearing Instruments, 52 West Street in Leominster, locally and authentically providing better hearing and quality of life since 1978. www.donotshout.com.
Mr. City Council, 24-20, National Grid, install one jointly owned pole on Hamilton Street beginning at a point approximately 126 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Main Street and Hamilton Street. Install P44 Hamilton Street. Is there anyone here representing National Grid?
Hi.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Robert Williams. I'm a designer for National Grid. So the reason we're doing this pole installation is for safety. We're trying to bring the primary wires, three-phase primary wires, down underneath the train tracks so they're not going over it anymore. So they'll be going underground. And we need this pole so we can put a riser there and dig under with conduit and install our primary wire.
Was this a request of anyone, or is it just your own design and safety issues yourself?
I don't know, but I know our standards is we try to avoid going over train tracks, so I think this is just like an improvement for the system.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in support of this petition? Again, is there anyone who wishes to speak in support? For the third time, is there anyone who wishes to speak in support? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? For the third and final time, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Is there any councilors that have any questions or comments? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you. John, I guess you're next with 1720.
Okay, this is a public hearing before the Leominster City Council regarding petition 17-20. David R. Cormier requests a stop sign on South Street against southbound drivers at Tisdale Street. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, does anyone in the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Third and final time, does anyone in the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Seeing none, we did get a communication from the traffic agent of the Leominster Police Department indicating that they were in accord with this petition. Do any councilors have any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you, Councilor Dabrowski.
I think I can move on. This is another public hearing before the Leominster City Council regarding petition 18-20. David R. Cormier, request to install a stop sign on South Street against northbound drivers at Crown Street. Does anybody in the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, does anyone in the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Third and final time, does anyone in the audience wish to address the council either in support or against this petition? Okay, again, we received communication from the traffic agent of the Leominster Police Department indicating that he was in accord with this petition. Do any councilors have any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, Mr. President, I declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you, Councilor.
Moving on, this is Public hearing before the Leominster City Council regarding petition 19-20, David R. Cormier, request to amend Chapter 13, Section 13-77 stop signs and add the following. Comstock Road against southbound drivers at Union Street, Comstock Road against eastbound drivers at Duggan Drive against southeastbound drivers at Union Street, Duggan Drive against westbound drivers at Glenwood Drive. Does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Third and final time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Similarly to the last two hearings, the traffic agent for the Leominster Police Department did contact us and indicate that he was in accord with this petition. Do any members of the council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. President, I declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you, Counselor.
And moving on, this is a public hearing before the Leominster City Council regarding petition 20-20. Patrick Bresnahan, Leominster Police Officer, requests no parking signs on North Main, East, and Priest Street. Also, no parking between signs on poles 24 and 25 located in front of 227 Priest Street. Does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Second time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Third and final time, does any member of the audience wish to address the council either in favor of or against this petition? Do any members of the council have any questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, Mr. President, I declare the public hearing closed.
Thank you very much. public forum is an opportunity for any member of the audience to speak on a matter specifically listed on the council agenda. Speakers will be asked to come to the microphone and state their formal name and address, along with identifying the specific items or item they wish to speak about. Each speaker is respectfully asked to keep their comments within a 2-minute time frame. The council will not be responding or answering any questions. However, at discretion of the council president, clarification may be given. The following people have signed up for the public forum, and the first individual is Beth Spinelli.
Hello, my name is Beth Spinelli. I live at 35 Massapog Road in Leominster, Massachusetts. This petition that I put before also pertains to Dobson Circle. I, as well as many other people who bought in this subdivision a few years ago, are putting this petition in front of you because we are having problems. We understand we will never be eligible to have our road repaved and other work done if we don't have the road accepted. Both developers, Barry Scola of Massapog Road and Greg Lascotti of Dobson Circle, have yet to finish the projects that they have started. The first problem is with plowing, sanding, salting, etc. It's been different from year to year. It's very unpredictable. Vehicles are being stranded on our road during inclement weather. For example, this past a few weeks ago, 4 of us in the neighborhood had to physically push a mail truck up the road in order for the mail to be delivered in our area, on our road. All residents on these 2 named streets are very concerned. Obviously, safety is a big issue. For an ambulance or fire truck or for police, etc., to get down these roads during winter months, oftentimes they're impassable. Who is responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of these 2 roads? We have no contact person in regards to follow through or follow up on any type of maintenance. As we know, it is required for builders to get permits from the city and post bonds. After the developments are complete, the developers in this instance, in our instance, has not completed their work and their responsibility. We as neighbors and taxpayers of Leominster are frustrated and looking to you, the City Council, to guide us in this process to get Massapog Road and Dobson Circle accepted roads in the City of Leominster.
Thank you. Next individual signed up is Fred Longenecker.
My name is Fred Longenecker. I live at 90 Dobson Circle, the other street that is involved in this situation. We've been a residents there for about 5 years. The development, all the building, the homes are all done and built. And I just want to add my voice to what Ms. Benelli said a few minutes ago. We're waiting for the road to be fully completed and given over to the township. We understand there's a need for it to have a final resurfacing before the township will take it over. It's the responsibility of the developer to do that. I know there has been some difficulty between Scotta and Lascotti. However, I understand that Lascotti has purchased all of Scotta's rights and responsibilities, one of those responsibilities being to complete the road and to give it over to the township. We don't know what is taking the time to have them do it, but it hasn't been done in the time that I've been there, and the work has been completed for, I would think, at least a year, if not more. In addition to that, as noted, the plowing has to be handled by a private plow person that the Lascotti Development Company has rented or hired to do it. They do their best, but there's only so much they can do with a pickup truck and a plow on it, as opposed to the plow that the city has. They don't have the access to the services that the city would have to make sure that the streets are safe and the roads are plowed. In addition, though I'm not sure if it's quite a part of this, but I believe it is, there is a fire hydrant at the end of the circle, up in Dobson Circle, that has been bagged and inaccessible for about a year now. We understand that has to be handled by Lascotti, but we have no one to get a hold of and have it taken care of. So that we're adding to this as well, because it is also definitely a matter of security and safety. The Dobson Circle end is a dead end, essentially, at the end of the road, and the fire hydrant is there, but there's no place else other than that one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Longenecker. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak at the public forum? Second time, is there any other member of the public which wants to speak at the public forum? And a third and final time, is there any other member of the public which wishes to address us at the public forum? If not, I will close the public forum. come to order. Please rise and join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now take a roll call of the City Council, starting with Councilor Frida.
Present.
Councilor Dombrowski.
Present.
Councilor Shalafo Zephyr.
Present.
Councilor Feckley.
Present.
Councilor Angelini.
Present.
Councilor Ardinger.
Present.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Present.
Councilor David Cormier.
Present.
And myself will be recorded as present. All 9 members of the council are present. Is the chairman of records ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. I have the regular meeting minutes of December 9th, 2019, and the special meeting minutes of December 16th, 2019. On December 9th, I believe that the recommendations for 5918 and 1520 are flipped. They need to be, 5918 needs to be 1520 and vice versa.
Okay, so with that edit, unless there's any objection, we'll place them on file.
Yes, and with that edit, they should be placed on file, as well as the special meeting minutes of December 16th, which I find to be placed in order.
Thank you, Vice President Feckley. We'll now go on to communications, starting with C44.
C44, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that the Leominster City Council vote to adopt an order to authorize the mayor, on behalf of the city, to enter into lease agreements for 11 certain properties described as attached.
C44 is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course, with a referral to the Chief Assessor, the Treasurer, and the Health Department. And if we could request the City Clerk to obtain copies of the leases.
I do
for
have
the council.
copies.
You do? Okay, so we can distribute them, sometime
It's
next
80
week.
pages long. I can email it or I can make copies. Depending on preference.
Maybe email it, yeah.
Email? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
C44 is given regular course with referrals to the Chief Assessor, Treasurer, Health Board. We'll now move on to orders, starting with C45.
C45, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, relative to the appropriation of $70,000 be made to the Gallagher Building Salary and Wages account, same amount to be transferred from the Gallagher Building Revolving Fund. Regarding craftsman salary, $56,528, and Gallagher overtime, $13,472, totaling $70,000.
C45 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
First time on the calendar, Mr. President, regular course.
Thank you. C45 will be given regular course. C46.
C46, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, relative to the appropriation of $36,375 be made to the Police Department expense account, same amount to be transferred from the Stabilization Fund.
C46 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
Same situation, Mr. President, first time on the calendar, regular course.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. C46 is given regular course. We'll now move on to petitions, starting with 2520.
25-20, National Grid and Verizon New England, Inc., Nashua Street, request to install 4 jointly owned poles on Nashua Street, beginning at a point approximately 15 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Main Street and Nashua Street, and continuing approximately 311 feet in the southeast direction.
Petition 2520 is referred to the Chairman of Public Service.
2520 would be given regular course. We need to vote on a hearing for January 27th at 6:40.
I guess we'll do that now, right?
Excuse me?
We can vote on that now.
We should,
Well,
yes.
Yeah, all members in favor of a public hearing on 2520 on January 27th of this year, 6:40 PM, signify in the usual manner. All those opposed? And that passes 9-0. Are there any referrals, Chairman? No. 2520 be given regular course with a hearing on January 27th. 2620.
2620, Jeffrey D. Nickel and 10 registered voters to accept Dobson Circle as a street in the city of Leominster.
2620 is referred to the Chairman of Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar by policy, we give this regular course with a referral to the DPW, the city engineer, the planning department, and the planning board.
2620 is given regular course with referrals to DPW, the city engineer, the planning board, and the planning director, was it?
Planning director, yeah, I misspoke.
Moving on to 27-20.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I think we should have the building inspector in there as well.
I agree, that's a good point.
Okay, we'll
Yes.
add the building inspector as a referral on 2620. All set with that? All right, we'll move on to 27-20.
27-20, Beth Spinelli and 10 registered voters to accept Massapoag Road as a street in the city of Leominster.
And that 2720 will be referred to the chairman of legal affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course with referrals to the DPW, the city engineer, the planning director, the planning board, and the building inspector.
2720 will be given regular course with referrals to the DPW, city engineer, planning director, planning board, and building inspector. We'll move on now to 28-20.
28-20, Officer Julio Ramos install stop signs and no parking signs on Research Drive.
2820 will be referred to the chairman of legal affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course. Officer Ramos is not our standard traffic agent, so we'd have a referral to the traffic agent for the Leominster Police Department.
2820 has been given regular course with a referral to the traffic agent. Move on to 29-20.
29-20, Jill A. Natola to accept Samoset Drive and Candlewood Drive as a street in the city of Leominster.
2920 will be referred to the chairman of legal affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the calendar, regular course with a referral to the Department of Public Works, the city engineer, the planning director, the planning board, and the building inspector.
2920 has been given regular course with referrals to the DPW, city engineer, planning director, planning board, and building inspector. We'll now move on to 30-20.
30-20, Gregory C. Chapdelaine, purchasing agent, and Paula Deacon, superintendent of schools, request to allow the purchasing agent to award a contract for internet connectivity services for a 5-year period on behalf of the school department.
3020 is referred to the chairman of finance.
30-20 will be given regular course.
Any referrals?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
30-20 is given regular course. 31-20.
31-20, Caitlin Huffman, city clerk, a resolution authorizing a policy regarding electioneering during absentee voting for the 2020 state and federal elections.
3120 is referred to the chairwoman of Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. President. First time on the agenda, regular course with a referral to the Board of Registrars.
3120 has been given regular course with a referral to the Board of Registrars. We'll now have...
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd also like to have this sent to the city solicitor as well.
City solicitor.
Any objection?
Good idea. No.
Okay. 3120 will be referred to, given regular course and referred to the Board of Registrars and the City Solicitor's Office. We're now moving on to matters before the City Council, starting with the financial report from the Chairman of Finance.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We started the year, we began the year on July 1, 2019, with $19,890,850.25. We've added to that by way of interest of $85,909.42. So far, we have borrowed from the stabilization account, including petitions C-42, C-43, and C-46. If they do successfully pass, we will have spent $3,563,836.12, which would leave us a balance of $16,412,923.55. That is the financial report.
Any questions on the financial report? Seeing none, we'll move on to C-42. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor
It's
Frida?
okay. Just going to ask my usual question, where is free cash?
Thank you. Yeah, I was expecting that. So I have to set up a meeting with John Richards. Obviously, I just became the chair of finance, and I'll certainly be in touch with him. And I'll ask him that question if he has any idea. I'm sure the usual answer will be, when he's ready. I know he works with the school department to get everything balanced. I know the chairman of the finance is here for the school department, the school committee, I should say. So I'm sure when all that is balanced and we've seen how late it's been before, we'll hear about it. And just as a side note, knowing that this question was going to come up, I called the Department of Revenue today. I had a couple of questions for them. They are a public agency, and anybody has the right to call them and ask questions about public funds. And just some very general questions, and I asked them how many communities in the state had yet to file for their free cash, and they told me it's still a pretty good number, somewhere in the order of 80. I asked if that's uncommon. I was told no. I asked if it's alarming that we don't certify free cash until, sometimes as late as June. I was told no. It was explained to me some of the smaller towns, they do it quickly in the fall because they have town meetings, so they have to have all of that, present for their town meeting. And probably a lot of other communities do it quickly because they're, desperate. They're not sitting on, $19 million like we are so fortunate to. So, there's nothing alarming, after talking to the DOR, there's nothing alarming to them. By the way we do this, she said it's basically a local policy. But I will talk to John Richards and see if I can get some answers to see if he has any inkling as to when he thinks he'll be ready this year.
Through the chair, I know it's not up for debate, but it's not a regular policy. I mean, we shouldn't be taking all this money out of stabilization, get free cash, and then we put in stabilization, take it out of that, be certified and using it that way. I can give you a name at the DOR who will tell you that.
I'd be interested.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. Thank you, Chairman of Finance. We'll now move on to C42.
Thank you, Mr. President. C-42, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, relative to the appropriation of $4,000 be made to the highway expense account, same to be transferred from the stabilization fund. This is regarding OSHA compliance grant match. This was dated December 5th, 2019. From the Mayor's Office, dear members of City Council, I am requesting your support for an appropriation of $4,000 to the Department of Public Works to help meet our OSHA requirements. As you know, OSHA regulations have increased significantly with the largest impact on the Department of Public Works. We have received a grant in the amount of $8,500 from Maya, the city's insurance company, to help meet this year's costs. Specifically, these funds will go toward the purchase of safety items for our forestry department as well as trench safety for the water and sewer department. Thank you for your consideration on this request. So basically what this is we're very fortunate to get a grant. OSHA is getting much more involved in, not only the private sector, but the public sector as well. And, this is something that we really need to comply with, and certainly brings a lot of safety to our public safety workers, primarily the DPW. So it would be my recommendation to vote favorably on C-42, and I would check with members of my committee. Councilor Cormier?
I agree.
Councilor Angelini?
I agree, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that is a unanimous recommendation, Mr. President, to grant C-42.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-42. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate in the usual manner. Opposed? That passes 9-0. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $4,000 be appropriated to the highway expense account, same amount to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. This is a yea or nay vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yea.
Yay.
Those opposed? By a vote of 9-0, C-42 has passed. Does the chairman have a report on C-43?
Yes, Mr. President, C-43, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, relative to the appropriation of $3,300 be made to the Building Department expense account, same to be transferred from the stabilization fund. I get confused with these double-sided. I respectfully, dear members of the City Council, this is also dated December the 5th. I respectfully request the appropriation of $3,300 be made to the Building Department expense account, same to be transferred from the stabilization fund. This is regarding asbestos testing and field inspection reports. We heard from Peter Nile, the building inspector. I respectfully request that $3,300 be made to the Building Department capital outlay account. Looking for the explanation. Do you have a copy of the explanation? All these double-sided papers, I'm getting confused. And I have it here somewhere, I don't know where. Thank you very much. There are several invoices here for these expenses, but I'll just summarize. Basically, Lincoln Terrace, there was a fire there. The occupant, the owner of the building had no insurance. There is no mortgage on it. And the city has been working with the owner of the building to see what they could do, and they're not having any luck. So at this point, the city has to step in. The building's a hazard, and it does need to be raised. It has been indicated to me that we will be able to recoup some of these funding, this funding that we're putting forward, eventually through liens that will be put on the building. And I'm sure that there'll be, after the asbestos testing is done and they determine the total cost of the demolition, we'll be seeing another appropriation. And then the other building is on Birch Street. It was owned by a gentleman there. There were CDBG funds used at one point in time or another. There are water issues there. The building is currently not occupied. It's a health hazard. Not sure that we will ever recoup any money, but that building needs to be raised as well. The problem there in the neighborhood. So that's what this asbestos testing is for. These buildings need to be addressed, and at this point, the city is we're the only people that are going to do it. We're the only people that have the means at this point because the owners are defunct. So that is basically where we stand on C-43, and I am in favor of this communication. And I check with members of my committee, Councilor Cormier.
I agree.
Councilor Angelini.
I'm in agreement as well.
Okay, so that's a unanimous recommendation, Mr. President, that we grant C-43.
Thank you. You have heard the recommendation of the Chair of Finance to grant C-43. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Frida.
So we're going to pay this money on two properties we don't own? Is that it?
We definitely don't own, Lincoln Terrace. We're gonna have to put a lien on it. Because, and I don't know if anybody's driven by there. Actually, I just drove by there a couple weeks ago, and I can't believe it's still there. It's a real hazard. It should have been taken down long before this, but the city's been, like I said, working with the owner. And it just can't go on any longer. So we have to put the money up front, and we're gonna have to recoup it, someday. We'll put a lien on it, and whenever the property is transferred, I don't know what somebody will eventually buy it for and build there, we'll have to recoup the money as a lien holder. And then Birch Street is, another situation where I have to admit, I don't know who the current owner of Birch Street is, and I know that the president's the ward council, maybe he's aware.
It's not the city.
It's not the city,
It's
okay.
not the city.
So that's gonna be raised as well, and we currently, I don't know when we'll take possession of it, if we will, but they're not looking that we'll recoup this money possibly in the future, unlike the other one.
It's my understanding, Counselor, that both of the properties have been condemned, and as the Chairman of Finance indicated, they are posing health and human habitation and risks to the public generally.
So do we know what the field inspection reports show? Is there asbestos there or no?
We gotta do the testing.
The
and
money
we'll
that's
find out.
Oh, they haven't done it yet?
No, the money that's proposed today
It's for testing,
is only for the testing phase of it,
right.
which is necessarily done before they put out the bid for the demolition. So all the demolition companies are gonna wanna see an asbestos survey before they can figure out what to bid. Are there any other questions? Yes, Council Ardinger.
Asbestos testing is just on Birch Street, correct?
No, on both.
Both of them.
The
on both
money
of them.
being sought is for asbestos testing for both of the properties.
Right. Right.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-43, please indicate in the usual manner. All those opposed, by a vote of 9-0, C-43 is granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $3,300 be appropriated to the Building Department expense account, same to be transferred from the stabilization fund. Move for the adoption of the order.
Thank you. You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. This is a yea or nay vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying yea.
Yay.
Those opposed? 9-0, the order is adopted. We'll now move on to legal affairs, starting with petition 5918. Is the chairman ready to report?
I am, Mr. President. Petition 59-18, James Whitney and 10 registered voters. Amend the zoning ordinance to add drive-through to the allowable uses under MU1 zoning. If you recall, this is a petition the council passed some time ago, and it fell through the cracks. I think with the change in the new clerk coming on and the old clerk, this is one that fell through the cracks. We approved it way back when. It's now before us again. The planning board had a public hearing. They affirmed their approval. One thing that I believe we need to do tonight is amend this petition to reflect that that this would require a special permit from the planning board. I think that's in the planning board approval language, and I believe the petitioner at the public hearing also indicated that. So the first order of business, Mr. President, is I would make a motion to amend petition 59-18 by adding the following language to the end of this petition, replacing the period with zoning with a comma, provided, and then adding, quote, provided the applicant obtains a special permit from the planning board, end quote.
I've heard the motion. Is there a second on the motion? I'm sorry, before that, did you have a question, Councilor Shalfo?
I did, yeah. In looking at the petition does specify that the petition wants to amend the zoning ordinance to have drive-through to allowable uses by special permit of the planning board.
Okay, that's not,
Under MU, it's not reflected on the calendar, but it is in the petition.
all
Okay,
right,
so
well, just,
perhaps we don't need the amendment then?
it's not on the agenda, which was advertised.
I'll leave it to your discretion then. Okay, belts and
Yeah.
suspenders never hurts.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a second to the chairman's motion. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate in the usual manner. The amendment passes 9-0. Mr. Chairman, do you have a report?
Yes, my recommendation would be to grant petition 59-18. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
And I'll check with the second member, Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
No, I support it.
and Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
Qualify your recommendations?
Unanimous recommendation of the committee is to grant petition 59-18 as amended.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation of the Chair of Legal Affairs to grant 59-18. There being no further discussion, please indicate in the usual, this has got to be roll call, doesn't it? This will be by roll call vote, starting with Councilor Frida.
Yay.
Counselor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Counselor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Counselor Feckley?
Yay.
Counselor Angelini?
Yay.
Counselor Hardinger?
Yay.
Counselor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Counselor David Cormier?
Yay.
And I will be recorded as yea. 59-18 is passed by a 9-0 vote. Moving on to 15-20, does the chairman have a report?
I do, Mr. President, petition 15-20, Jill A. Natola, petition for acceptance of Sawtell Road, Montrose Street, and a portion of Richard Road. This has received approval from the city engineer and the DPW. There has been some questions raised and concerns raised by the fire department and the police department relative to the name of this street being the same as a name of another street, and they're not connected. Given the attorney for the petitioner sent us a letter detailing the practical concerns and delays that would be involved if we were to try to change the name at this juncture. So my position, Mr. President, would be to grant petition 15-20 with the understanding that we will be submitting a petition to change the name of the road as soon as these items are on record. And I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Counselor Shalfo Zephyr?
No, I agree with that approach.
And Counselor David Cormier.
I also agree.
Please qualify.
Unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee is to grant petition 15-20 with the understanding that the name change petition will be following soon.
You have heard the unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant 15-20. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank the the developer and the attorney that have been working very hard to see through that this is done the way it should be and that the road is properly recorded and accepted as a city street. We heard earlier of another situation, and it's not pretty when these things are abandoned. So, I just want to thank everybody for their hard work and diligence. And I did read, what the attorney said regarding changing the name of the street, and I do understand, and I certainly don't want to, delay this or cause any hindrance to having, the legal work done. But I did think it was going to be an issue with the fire department. I know that they're not crazy about it, and so as soon as this is legally ours, we will get all the rest of this taken care of. So thank you very much.
Anybody else? Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of 15-20, please signify in the usual manner. And 15-20 passes by a vote of 9-0. 16-20, does the chairman have a report?
I do, Mr. President. Petition 16-20, Jill A. Natola. Petition for acceptance of easement for Research Drive extension. This is a matter where initially the planning board tabled their recommendation until they received approval from the DPW. The DPW has approved this matter, and the planning board has subsequently indicated a unanimous approval as well. My recommendation is to grant petition 16-20, and I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you. Counselor Shalfo Zephyr?
I'm in agreement.
And Counselor David Cormier.
I also agree.
Please qualify.
Unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee is to grant petition 16-20.
You have heard the unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant petition 16-20. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, 16-20 passes by a vote of 9-0. Moving on to 17-20.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 17-20, David R. Cormier. Request a stop sign on South Street against southbound drivers at Tisdale Street. We had a public hearing this evening, and the pending police referral had come in positive for this petition. My position is to grant petition 17-20, and I ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
I agree.
Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
Please qualify, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, the unanimous recommendation of the committee is to grant petition 17-20.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant 17-20. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Feckley?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
And I will be recorded as yay. Moving on to 18-20.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 18-20, David R. Cormier. Request to install a stop sign on South Street against northbound drivers at Crown Street. Similarly to the last petition, we had a public hearing this evening, and the traffic agent for the police department indicated his approval of this petition. My position is we grant petition 18-20. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
I agree.
And Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
Please qualify, Mr. Chairman.
Unanimous recommendation of the committee is to grant petition 18-20.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Chairman of Legal Affairs to grant petition 18-20. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be by roll call vote. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Feckley?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
And I shall be recorded as yay. 18-20 passes by a vote of 9-0. Moving on to 19-20.
Thank you, Mr. President. Petition 19-20, David R. Cormier. Request to amend Chapter 13, Section 13-77, stop signs, and add the following. Comstock Road against southbound drivers at Union Street. Comstock Road against eastbound drivers at Duggan Drive. Duggan Drive against southeastbound drivers at Union Street. Duggan Drive against westbound drivers at Glenwood Drive. We did have a public hearing this evening. And we did receive word from the traffic agent of the Leominster Police Department that he is in favor of this petition. My recommendation is to grant petition 1920. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
I'm in agreement.
And Councilor David Cormier.
I also agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation from the Chair of Legal Affairs to grant 19-20. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be by roll call. Councilor Frida?
Yay.
Councilor Dombrowski?
Yay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Feckley?
Yay.
Councilor Angelini?
Yay.
Councilor Ardinger?
Yay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor David Cormier?
Yay.
The chair will be recorded as yay. That passes by a vote, 19-20 passes by a vote of 9-0. And moving on to 20-20.
Petition 20-20, Patrick Bresnahan, Leominster Police Officer, requests no parking signs on North Main, East, and Pre Street. Also, no parking between signs on poles 24 and 25 located in front of 227 Pre Street. Officer Bresnahan is the experienced officer. My recommendation would be to grant petition 20-20, deferring to the police officer. I'd ask you to poll my committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
I agree.
And Councilor David Cormier.
If I may, I just have a question for the chairman. I probably should have brought this up during the public hearing, but looking in the ordinance book, North Main Street East, there's a couple of entries. There are a couple of entries in there for North Main Street already. East side from 531 North Main Street to the Fitchburg-Leominster line, as well as North Main Street east side from High Street, a distance of 175 feet north. There's also North Main Street east side from Pre Street southerly for 165 feet from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's only two more. North Main Street east side from State Highway south of Hamilton Street for 1,600 feet south. North Main Street, east side from Washington Street, a distance of 270 feet south. So I just don't, I don't understand, is this an area that's already got a petition that just needs signs? Or where on the east side of North Main Street are we talking? It's very, I don't know what I'm voting on, to be honest with you.
The only thing I could do then is you know, I don't think there's any rush on it. We can request
Right.
further time, and I can ask for some clarification for the third member of Legal Affairs.
Just through the chair, I mean, I don't know what I'm voting on, and maybe it's a matter of, we already have an ordinance, the signs are missing, maybe that this was, 40 years
Well,
ago.
we don't know if these overlap or not.
Right.
That's what you're really saying.
Right, I don't know what I'm voting.
We can get clarification.
Right.
I'll amend my recommendation to further time.
And I'll check with Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
I agree with that.
So unanimous recommendation of
I also
Legal
agree.
Affairs is for further time. Any further discussion? All those in
Mr.
favor?
President?
Yeah,
Just if we could just, the city clerk could just ask Officer Bresnahan for some clarification on exactly what, where these are being located.
okay, that will be formally noted.
Thank you.
All right, the recommendation of Legal Affairs is to give further time to 20-20. Any further discussion? All those in favor of further time, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, further time. 2020 is given further time. Now we'll now move on to Public Service, 24-20. Does the chairman have a report? Chairwoman, I'm sorry.
National Grid install one jointly owned pole on Hamilton Street, beginning at a point approximately 126 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of Main Street and Hamilton Street. Install P44 Hamilton Street. We had a public hearing tonight. There's a representative from National Grid. No objections. There was a recommendation. Polled my committee. My recommendation would be to grant.
Councilor Feckley
Yes, I agree.
and Councilor Pauline Cormier, the third member.
I agree.
Could you qualify, please?
Unanimous recommendation of the Public Service Committee to grant the petition.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Public Service Committee to grant 24-20. Is there any further discussion? Councilor David Cormier.
Thank you, Mr. President. As usual, I do need to abstain, as this equipment is partially owned by my employer.
Your abstention is so noted. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of 24-20, please indicate in the usual manner. Those opposed, the petition passes by a vote of 8-0. That brings us to Ways and Means. Is the Ways and Means Chairwoman ready to report with respect to the appointment of our legal counsel?
Yes, Mr. President, I'm not sure whether this needs to be amended, but the spelling of the firm, Merrick O'Connell, Merrick is M-I-R-I-C-K.
Okay, we'll treat that as a typo, and
Okay, I agree with that.
clerk will note it.
All right, I have contacted Attorney Madouse's office. We have not been in contact. We keep on missing each other, but I did contact his administrative assistant today, and she will make sure that we get in contact. So by the time we meet next, I should have the information for you.
All right, so you're going to recommend further time on the appointment?
Further time, yep.
Can you check with members of your committee? I guess that would be Councilor Frida.
I'm good with
Okay
that.
with that? And the
And
other member of your
Councilor
committee? Councilor
Yeah,
Dabrowski.
I'm fine.
So unanimous recommendation of Ways and Means is to give the appointment of legal counsel for the city council further time. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of further time on the issue of appointing legal counsel, please indicate in the usual manner. And that passes, I vote to 9-0. We have nothing under new business. We have nothing under old business. Is there anything under the community calendar? Councilor Frida.
I'm not sure if it's old business or new business, could be both. I just want to update the council on the police station. We had 5 or 6 hours of interviews last Thursday. And we chose an architect, Castle Booz, who was an incredible, we had 3 really good candidates. They stood out, they had some great ideas. They came in knowing exactly what we're looking to build. So it's just a matter of negotiating with them now, and hopefully they'll be on board. And I just want to remind the council that we're purchasing a property on Lancaster Street. That will be another entryway into the site. It's been negotiated, there's a purchase and sales on it, but it's going through the required time frame. But when it comes to us, we're gonna have to act quickly to appropriate the money. So if there are any questions on the purchase, contact Bill Mitchell, and he can give you the details.
Thank you, Councilor Frida. Does anybody have anything under the community calendar? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned.
So, did I miss anything?
This program is sponsored by Medical Arts Hearing Instruments, 52 West Street in Leominster, locally and authentically providing better hearing and quality of life since 1978. www.donotshout.com